I would like to quickly run you through ways to answer behavioral interview questions because it's something that comes up a lot. And the reason hiring managers and HR people are asking these questions because people tend to prepare quite well for this, common interview questions and answers. They're pretty good at researching, reading the job description, and telling the hiring manager exactly what they want to hear. So, or sometimes using generalizations, right? So the way for them to understand if the person truly has the skill and experience that they need is by asking them those less scripted behavioral type questions that can really help them uncover whether you have that experience. It often also starts with sentences like, tell me about the time when. When you hear that, they are trying to test me on where have I expressed the skills in the past. So tell me about the time when, or give me an example of when you did something. So they are deepening every other question. So you tell me, your greatest strength is communication. So tell me about a time when you've managed to resolve a conflict with an underperforming employee. Yeah. So tell me about a time when you've expressed your leadership skills. So it's harder to prepare for these questions because they can, there are like a huge variety of those types of questions, and the interviewer can come up with them on the spot, basically. So the way to answer them is to have a model for how you would prepare yourself, like when this type of question comes up, this is the kind of things that I would talk about, and I will give you a model in a second. But another thing that is very useful to prepare is some of you who are my clients, you've done this achievements journal, is to sit down before the interview and think about 3 to 5 of your greatest achievements in the recent company, in the companies you worked with at before, maybe university projects that's gone really well. And don't be shy here. They don't know necessarily how great you are, or some of the things that you may feel doesn't really feel like an achievement to you, but it may feel like an achievement to others. So if you feel stuck there, brainstorm it with someone, but prepare 3 to 5 achievements where you feel like you've helped the company increase the revenue, also reduce a cost, create a product that was very successful, create more efficient processes, whatever is relevant for your industry. So think about 3 to 5 situations so that whenever they ask you this behavioral interview question, when you've used your communication skills, leadership skills, technical skills, analytical skills, you can kind of quickly tap on those achievements and you can talk about them to answer behavioral interview questions. I call it a CAR. Most people call it a STAR method. So the STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. So I kind of combine the situation and task into challenge because it's kind of similar and it gives you less to think about. Just 3 letters in the acronym that you need to think about. So whenever they ask you, so give me an example of a time that you have when you've handled an underperforming employee. So you want to think back on a similar story in your experience. So you want to set it up as a bit of a story. So, there was a time when we were all working to roll out this project by the deadline. And one of our peers was not pulling their weight. So give a bit of specific. Talk about the action as a second point. So what did you do to rectify the situation, to help the situation? So and again, give them, paint the picture a little bit, give them the specifics. So whether you addressed it with the manager, whether you've had an informal conversation with that employee, maybe you send them an email asking about what they're struggling with and how you can help, and tell them about the result. So as a result of this, what was what happened in the situation? So as a result of this, we managed to deliver the project on time, and that saved the company. You can talk about some revenue it's saved, or maybe man hours, in case you had to redo the project or take more time. So the challenge, action, and results. Okay, let's, these ones are best to just kind of like Google a list of questions that may come up, behavioral interview questions, and practice it with someone. You know, if you have a coach or if you have a friend, you want to just ask yourself these questions and just practice challenge, action, result, challenge, action, result. Who wants to practice one question?
Sure.
Yeah, you go. Okay, cool. Okay, so tell me about the time when, tell me about the situation when a client was threatening to leave.
Both happened.
Mm. Yeah, obviously it has to have happened. If you haven't had a situation like that, you can say that. And you can tell them how you would handle it if that happened in the future. But yeah, go ahead. So challenge, action, result.
All right. So challenge is actually talking about the situation itself.
Yes.
We had actually an individual private client whose wealth was pretty big, and he was a very big client for the company. So obviously a lot of attention towards this client, and we did not handle one of our investments really well, and he was really disappointed with the performance. And he told us that he could actually go and see our competitors who were actually doing better. I set up a meeting with him. I just said that it would be best to meet and have a proper conversation about it and see what we can offer. And the client agreed to come and meet with myself and my manager. So we talked about the investment and the reason why we put this investment in place, and why we handled the situation that way. He actually got the full picture, which he did not get from the performance report. So now that he actually understood the reasons why we kept that investment in, he understood how we got to this situation, and this
Perfect.
was this was actually much clearer for him. And it helped him trust us, keep his trust in us. And we offered also a compensation, because obviously that was our error. And he was actually really pleased with that outcome. So we actually made really sure afterwards that we would be very much more careful about the investment. But he stayed, and he remained a very good client of ours.
Perfect. That is a top quality example of how to answer a behavioral interview question using the CAR method. They're sometimes called CARL. L is for learning at the end.
Oh,
So you talked about the learning as well. We learned, you know, that we need to think differently about this investment. So yeah, but CAR is good enough to just mention those three. The one thing that to make it even more impactful, if you wanted to, is to say how much potential revenue loss that could have been and that you saved. So this saved the company losing, and you say the number for their size of portfolio they had with you, if that's not confidential. But you're not mentioning any specific names, so you can give them a range.
I guess.
Yeah, and that would come across very impressive. I'd be like, oh wow, okay, so this is how much you managed to save. Yeah, really well done. I like it how you painted the picture. You've taken them into the room. There was my manager there. You see, like, you didn't just generalize we. You said that was there with my manager. These are the kind of points we went through, and it looks like you've really managed to turn the situation around. So yeah, well done.